Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. And we're going to start by completely challenging everything you thought you knew about why you feel so utterly, deeply exhausted. For a long time we've all been told that burnout is simply the result of working too hard or maybe just lacking resilience. But we're going to look at some truly fascinating insights from the Switch on Strengths methodology that completely rewrite that old narrative. Today we're diving into the burnout paradox.
Now, this right here totally flips the script. We usually blame our flaws when we fail, right? We think, oh, I'm burning out because I'm just not efficient enough, or I'm terrible at time management. But what if your greatest natural talents, literally the very things you're praised for at work and at home, are actually the secret culprits draining your energy? It's a pretty provocative question, and to answer it, we first need to completely redefine our core problem.
Section 1. Redefining burnout. It's not just being tired.
So here's the absolute crucial point. Burnout is not just saying, man, I'm tired after a long week. Being tired, you can solve that with a good night's sleep. Burnout is what happens when the demands placed on you continually, relentlessly exceed your actual capacity to recover. It's like this massive compounding deficit in your personal recovery ledger. You're quite literally bankrupting your internal resources because the output has completely outpaced the restorative input. And as you can see, this really illustrates a total system failure. Burnout isn't just this physical thing. It literally rewires how you think, how you feel, and how you behave every single day. Mentally, you might struggle to make even basic decisions, or you find yourself totally unable to switch off those racing thoughts at night. Emotionally, you might shift from being super caring to feeling completely detached or just constantly frustrated. And behaviorally, well, you might start procrastinating or withdrawing from the people you love, basically just operating on a numb, exhausted autopilot. So to figure out why this total system failure actually happens, we're turning to the Switch on Strengths framework. This methodology gives us this amazing lens to look at how you naturally operate in the world and why your default settings might actually be setting you up for a crash. Let's see how this builds our understanding of who you are when you're at your absolute best. Moving on to Section 2, your default strengths. What makes you, you?
Listen, everyone has default patterns. When a crazy situation pops up, you don't literally stop and ask your brain, which strength should I use today? No way. You just react. Maybe you're the person who naturally defaults to thinking. You analyze, you generate ideas, you're the problem solver. Or perhaps your default is feeling. You instantly empathize, you seek harmony, and you naturally take responsibility for others. Or maybe you default to behaving. You organize, you lead, you immediately take action. Normally, you get heavily praised for these incredible traits. You're known as the achiever, the fixer, or the empath. These strengths are what make you successful. But here is where the story takes a dark turn, introducing the true villain of this explainer.
And that brings us to Section 3, the burnout loop, when strengths become liabilities.
So, we've got to ask the big question. What actually happens to your strengths under pressure? When that major deadline is looming, or a crisis hits, or the demands suddenly skyrocket? You might think pressure makes you abandon your strengths and become someone else entirely. But the truth? It's actually the exact dangerous opposite.
This contrast is wild because it starkly reveals the shift. Let's look at the achiever. When things are going great, the achiever naturally says, I really enjoy getting things done. It's a super positive drive. But put that exact same person under immense pressure, and they don't stop achieving. Instead, they double down. Their internal narrative twists into, I can't stop until absolutely everything is done. It morphs from a healthy, productive drive into a relentless, toxic compulsion.
It's the exact same story if you look at highly empathetic people. In a healthy state, an empath says, I understand what you're feeling. I connect with you. It's a truly beautiful trait. But under stress, they stop merely understanding others and start dangerously carrying everyone else's emotional weight. Their strength goes into absolute overdrive, and suddenly, everyone else's problems become their personal burden. Let's trace this descending spiral step by step, because this right here is the very core of the burnout paradox. It goes like this. You start with your natural strength. Then, boom, pressure is applied. Your gut instinct is to increase your reliance on that strength because, hey, it's always worked for you before, right? Well, this leads directly to overuse. Because you're overusing the strength, you have way less time for recovery, which naturally breeds exhaustion. And here is the tragic trap. Exhaustion reduces your effectiveness. And when your effectiveness drops, what do you tell yourself? I need to try harder. So you lean into that overused strength even more.
The very thing you trust to get you through the pressure traps you in an endless cycle, pulling you straight down into burnout. Thankfully, just discovering you're in this loop is the exact insight you need to escape it.
Which leads us to Section 4, the balance solution, awareness and recovery.
So the absolutely crucial point we want to make crystal clear here is that your strength is not the enemy. You do not need to stop being an achiever. You don't need to stop being an empath or an analyzer. The problem is entirely the lack of balance. If you're an achiever, you just need to learn that you are so much more than what you accomplish. If you're highly responsible, you need to learn that not everything is yours to carry. You can care deeply about people without carrying the weight of the entire world on your shoulders.
To actually find that balance, the source material offers this brilliant, super practical tool. By applying this simple 3-step check, you can quickly figure out if you're weaponizing your own talents against yourself. First, in times of stress, stop and ask yourself, what is my natural response? Am I defaulting to overthinking, overfeeling, or overbehaving? Second, be brutally honest with yourself. Am I using this strength effectively right now, or am I overusing it to my own detriment? And third, instead of just trying harder, ask, what complementary behavior do I need right now for balance? For example, if you're an activator constantly taking action, maybe your complementary behavior is just having some patience. If you're an empath, maybe the complementary behavior you desperately need is setting some firm boundaries.
As the Switch on Strengths methodology advocates, the whole goal here isn't to fundamentally change who you are as a person. Not at all. The goal is simply self-awareness. It's about becoming aware enough of your own natural operating rhythms to recognize the exact moment your superpower shifts from a really powerful strength into a destructive overuse. It is all about understanding your patterns so you can activate them without destroying your well-being in the process.
Which brings us to a really powerful conclusion. Your strengths are actually your absolute greatest tools for preventing burnout, but only if you manage them. Your strength is designed to serve you. You were never designed to be consumed by your strength. I really want to leave you with this final provocative thought to carry with you today. When you look at your own life and the specific pressures you're facing right now, which of your greatest strengths is currently consuming you? And what small, complementary step are you going to take today to reclaim your balance?